we are in the surrounds of the lovely Brooks Club at the Pleasant Stone. It's really nice. It's all black velvet and feels like a classy strip club, doesn't it, Ben?
Yes, it does. It's got a nice vibe.
It's really nice. It's really lovely. Established in 1879.
Really?
Which probably makes it the oldest. That's before the Fringe.
Doesn't look that old.
It doesn't look that old. There's a lot of it doesn't look that old. But we're here with the fabulous Michael Griffiths.
We are indeed.
Hello.
G'day.
How are you?
Good, mate.
How's your Fringe going?
It's going well. My day off is tomorrow, my first day off, so I'm at the end of the first long stretch. But it's lovely to be here as always. My 4th year in a row.
Yeah. Your shows. Well, we'll get on to your shows in the past because when we compare them to your show this year, it's great. Yeah, your show this year, I have seen the fabulous Cole. Your one-man show about Cole Porter. As ever, Ben, what do you know about Cole Porter?
I don't know anything about Cole Porter.
And what do you know about Michael's show, Cole?
I don't know anything about your show, Cole.
Right,
It's okay.
So, can I ask you, Michael? Let's educate Ben, who is a Philistine, about what is so wonderful about Cole Porter, and indeed why he should come see your show.
Ben, have you heard of the Great American Songbook, which kind of refers to a bunch of American Broadway composers from the 20s, 30s?
Okay.
I think George Gershwin, Irving Berlin, and Cole Porter is kind of one of the greats of the Great American Songbook. So he started off writing just kind of popular tunes and ended up on Broadway and working in Hollywood as well. You would know his songs even if you didn't know that you know them, because they've been covered by Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, all the kind of great singers sing Cole Porter. Fred Astaire was sort of synonymous with Cole and the song Night and Day, which I imagine you would know.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, even U2 have covered Night and Day.
Okay, another one.
In fact, there was a big fundraising album called Red Hot and Blue from the late 80s, early 90s, and it was all Cole Porter tunes, and it was all the popular artists of the day. In fact, Annie Lennox for it covered Every Time We Say Goodbye, which is another kind of classic song, which is someone mentioned it the other day, because last year I was here with an Annie Lennox show and they kind of said, you should have, anyway, I hadn't noticed the synchronicity of an Annie Lennox with that song. I Got You Under My Skin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well that's Cole Porter tune. Okay. It's Sinatra kind of jazzed up, and Bublé sings these days. Let's Do It, Let's Fall in Love.
Yep, I know that one as well. Yeah, I do know Cole Porter.
Anything Goes, that's Cole Porter, that's sort of classic Cole Porter. So he had a kind of mischief and wit and naughtiness in a lot of his lyrics. His wordplay, and also he wrote music and lyrics, which makes him special, because often, you'd have the composer and the lyricist, but he excelled at both. He also lived in a world of incredible privilege and basically hung out with royalty and didn't have to work, but became a workaholic, and his wife was his best friend and encouraged his talent. And he was gay, which at the time wasn't talked about. So it's a very colourful kind of character as well behind these wonderful songs that you would know.
Well,
that you do know, that you just don't know that you know.
Yeah, you see, you were a Cole Porter fan and you didn't even know it.
I've sang some of these songs.
Yeah, you probably have. I'm just trying to think others that you would know. I mean, people are surprised that they know every song. There's probably about 13 or 14 songs in my show, and you'd know 10 of them. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a show where the audience wanted to sing along all the way through.
Okay.
They were under their breaths. A lot of people were singing along in the audience, which was marvelous, because at the end they get a chance to join in.
They do.
Which they're gagging for by the end of the show.
But maybe it was the show you were in. Someone was kind of dancing in the middle.
There were people jigging about.
There was a guy, like literally the hands were kind of going, and he was like doing a hand jive. It was quite delightful.
It's marvelous. Now, the thing that's beautiful about this show, Ben, is that Michael actually portrays Cole Porter, and you've done a really wonderful job of the physicality of the man, because his legs were wrecked.
They were
from a terrible accident.
Yeah, horsing accident, and we wanted to set the show at a sort of certain time in his life, late in the career. Things went really downhill after the accident, but he did still write "Kiss Me, Kate" from his, basically from his bed, I think. But it was kind of about a slice in a certain time later in life. I guess when we'll probably set him about 50, I would imagine, or late 40s in the show. And it's really about kind of sharing memories, I suppose. I didn't actually want to act. When the show was an idea, was my writer that said, okay, Michael, so you need to act with this one. You need to have an accent. I said, oh no, I don't really do that. I don't really do accents. And she's like, well, this is the only way it's going to work. So yeah, I actually looked for sound recordings of him. There's recordings of him singing,
Yes.
but I haven't heard him speak. But because of the privilege and the travel, I just have kind of affected just a privileged sound.
Yes.
People think he sounds British, and I said, well, I'm not trying to make him sound British, but I'm just trying to make him sound absolutely filthy rich. Because he had servants, it's that kind of money.
I would definitely describe the accent you use as waspish.
Yeah.
He's very clearly upper class America, upper class New York.
Yeah, which has its own kind of accent of, that transcends geography,
Yes.
that sort of money.
Yeah, the Margaret Dumont style of vocal. Wonderful vowels. Yeah, it's a really it feels like a really stripped down show because it is just you at a piano speaking to the audience, telling them stories, and singing songs. So in a sense, you soundtrack the life of Porter with Porter's own songs. Where do you come at that from? What's your angle on that? Did you pick the songs and then fit the story around, or did you work on the story and then pull in which song seemed appropriate?
Basically, there's a certain handful of songs that are non-negotiable with a Porter show, and so we always knew. Well, I worked with a writer, Anna Goldsworthy, and very quickly we decided we wanted to start with Anything Goes and finish with Night and Day, because you just need to get your bookends first. And then it was about doing research and finding out what the themes were, and there was obviously privilege, and there was friendship with Linda, and then there was the male lovers and just that wonderful kind of double life that we wanted to explore, and also the talent and the success. But then it was finding songs that just kind of told something about him. So, I mean, obviously something like Blow Gabriel Blow is just a wonderful number, but it just doesn't resonate in a biographical context. So it was songs that somehow gave a suggestion of his character. I mean, and then it's about sometimes taking artistic liberty and contextualizing something in a way that maybe Cole wasn't suggesting. For instance, I've Got You Under My Skin, we make about Boris, but there's this wonderful line in there. I said to myself, this affair never will go so well. When we've set up he's having an affair with Boris, like, a line like that suddenly takes on this wonderful, meaning when we set it up in a certain way. And Love for Sale, I mean, he had these famous parties on Sundays at his Hollywood pad where only men were allowed, and he liked particularly handsome young men. Naked even better, cool. And so we set that up and then throw Love for Sale in, and I mean, I'm sure that there were men being, in fact there were, I know from research that there was a man who used to visit him in his New York pad for a rub down, and it certainly was a happy ending.
Yes.
So yeah, Love for Sale, spending money on, appetizing young love for sale, it's perfect. So songs like that, when they would resonate, then they went in. Yeah.
I mean, one thing about Porter's writing is you don't get it so much now because our sense of shock is very different. But a lot of his songs were incredibly shocking.
He was censored.
They were so risque.
Yeah, he was censored, and I mean, he referred to cocaine in an early verse of I get no kick, or I get a kick out of you.
Yes.
Sorry, I get no kick from champagne. And Hollywood was never going to let that through. Anything Goes. There were always little verses that were far too shocking. He was getting into trouble, and he would write songs for women to sing, like "I'm in love with a sailor boy" and whatnot. But he was very sort of. He wasn't really hiding his homosexuality a lot of the time. It was really for all to see, and that was also terribly risque. I think he was always in fear of being, exposed as in that sense as well. But he didn't hide it. I mean, one of his first big hit was "Let's Misbehave," which sort of sets up a sense of naughtiness that carried on. But yeah, Let's Misbehave is perfect.
Yes. Now, Cole is a bit of a departure from what you're known for at the Fringe.
Yes.
I mean, it is still you and a piano and your wonderful voice, but your previous shows you've tackled some very different characters in the music business. For example, last year's show as the wonderful Scottish superstar Annie Lennox.
Yes.
And before that, Madge,
the Queen of Pop.
Yes, yeah, Madonna. That's got to be different. How are you finding being here with a show about Cole Porter is changing your experience at the Fringe?
It's a different demographic that it appeals to, and like as we've just kind of seen talking to Ben, that I think a lot of people don't realise that they are familiar with Cole Porter. So it's certainly not a kind of obvious fringe show and doesn't have broad appeal the way Annie Lennox does. I mean, she's a local hero, and rightfully so, and she's my hero. But Cole Porter certainly feels a little more subversive in a way, actually. I mean, it's punk. There's no language. There's no nudity. There's nothing. I mean, it's naughty in an old world sense, but it's certainly not a fringe show in a lot of ways. It's quite, it's almost punk.
Yeah. Now, I said in my review, which I wrote for Broadway Baby, of your show, your 5-star review, I should point out for Ben. 5-star, my only 5-star given. Oh my.
That was a 5-star review there.
That was because the
got excited.
Behind the bar was so excited about being a 5-star review. And yes, amazing. The only 5-star review I've given out this Fringe.
Yeah, he doesn't do 5-star reviews very often.
Not
well,
really.
No, not this year. Just the one.
Just the one.
So far.
The one. But as I said in my review, it's kind of sad because there are many people from the LGBTQ scene who would flock to a show about Madonna or flock to a show about Annie Lennox, but who might not necessarily be interested in seeing a show about Cole Porter. And yet Cole Porter was doing the sort of he was doing that sort of subversive stuff that Madonna was doing 70 years ago.
Yeah.
He was the trendsetter.
Yeah, and it is very queer. It's a very queer show. In fact, I actually think it's my campest show in a lot of ways. There's such a campness to it, and to him. But yeah, it's a queer show.
Yes,
certainly.
Yeah, and it's got a real beautiful sense of what. I mean, yes, he was a man with great privilege. He had money. He had a very, very comfortable life, but he still had that daily fear of being outed. And yet, when you look back at Cole Porter, much in the same way that you look back at some other greats of the time, it's so obvious. It's so obvious that he was a gay man. But at the time, attitudes were so different. But it could have destroyed him.
Oh, absolutely.
And indiscreet revelation about his life. In a very strange time, and he was married to a very, very wealthy woman.
Yes.
And they had an understanding.
Yes.
As no doubt was the case with many gay men of the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very powerful piece that people should see if they're interested in the history of sort of the struggle of especially very talented gay men in the arts in history, because so much of our great music and our great movies, our great cultural history was created by people from the LGBTQ community, but their homosexuality was kind of had to be pushed to the side and become a subversive thing that they drip fed out. There was a lot of, I hate to use the phrase, but a lot of dog whistling. There was a lot of stuff there to be spotted by those who recognised it. And I think Cole Porter was probably one of the very best at that.
Cole had his own phrase for when there were a clear queer rainbow flag waving in his pieces, and he called them a dash of lavender. So, for instance, "You're the top" had a dash of lavender with "Baby, I'm the bottom, you're the top." I mean, those double entendres carried back then. I mean, they weren't as common. I mean, tops and bottoms are in widespread. We all understand that now, but certainly there was only a very small group of people that would have, recognised that as a dash of lavender. But Cole knew what it was.
It's almost like Polari in a sense, that hidden language for you to keep secret what's going on. Well, I cannot recommend the show highly enough. Ben, are you going to go and see it?
I am going to go see it. It sounds really interesting. And I always think it's great when somebody brings something to the Fringe that is a little bit unknown, and you can go and enjoy the show and also learn something about somebody new, somebody you haven't heard about. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. Turns out you had heard about him.
Well, I had
just
heard about
didn't
him.
know the name.
Yeah, but I don't know his life, his story,
No.
and it sounds like it's really fascinating and really interesting. And that'd be a cool thing.
We've discovered a thing about Ben which we call anonymity, where you admire someone but you don't know who they are or what they've done. And it turns out that you're actually a fan of Cole Porter. You just didn't know.
It's a revelation.
Yes, just like Michael Griffiths' wonderful show, Cole. which would you like to tell us when that's on, Michael? When can people go and see it?
Of course, I'm on at 6 o'clock, except for tomorrow, which is my one day off, and then I'm at, well, I mean, you know, that's not going to work if you listen to this in a week, is it? I'm on every night at 6 o'clock right through to the 29th. I'm in the Piccolo in Assembly George Square Gardens, which is a lovely tent. I've been remodeled. There's backs on the benches, so you can relax. You can nod off even if you felt like it.
But you wouldn't at your show.
Well, I hope not.
You'd be jigging along and singing along. Thank you so much, Michael. It's been a pleasure, and best of luck with the rest of your run.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, there you have it, Ben. What do you think of that?
That was very interesting.
Wasn't it?
I'm quite excited about seeing that, actually.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. The Piccolo tent's gorgeous because it's like, you know, the Bosco tent? It's like the Bosco tent, but nice.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because the Bosco tent's nice to be in, but it's not the most comfortable.
No, but it's really comfy seats with cushioned, like pews, and he comes on, it's just him and a piano and a decanter, and he tells these tales in first person as Cole Porter. And yeah, it was really moving, and he's so talented.
Yeah.
He's got real panache. You genuinely feel like it's an audience with Cole Porter.
Wow.
Yeah, and you should absolutely take it.
It sounds exciting. It sounds good. I like less is more. I'm always a fan of that. And if it's just the simplicity of a man and a piano, and it's songs that I actually know, but I don't know the person that's written them, and I'm hearing the story of his life at the same time. It's definitely got to be an interesting way of telling a story.
Yeah, absolutely. It was beautiful. It's made me long for more shows like that. More people just doing wonderful, you know, because you get like Pip Hutton, who's a fringe legend, who comes and does his one-man shows about Hitler and Maggie Thatcher, characters like that, and they're masterworks. Yeah, Michael has just brought a show it's so different from what he's known for, and I think it's his greatest work so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
High praise.
Yeah, I can gush no more about it, because if I do, I will start to sound like I'm blowing smoke, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, next up, I think in the next episode we'll be chatting to some of the cast of Smother, which is a lovely dance piece, which you know nothing about.
I don't know anything about Smother.
Anything about Smother. I'm actually going to go and see it now.
Cool.
And then I will report back on that.
I'll tell you what, you go see it just now, and then tell me about it.
I will.
And then I'll know about it.
I'll go see it and I'll tell you about it.
Excellent. Good plan.
And then we can interview one of the cast about how great it was, and they can explain to you all the stuff that you don't know. Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. Right, so pint?
Pint, definitely.
Pint.